online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Oh yeah.
Moving real slow.
Little Usher, little confession.
Just when I thought I said I could
Feel it. Anyway.
Anyhow.
All right. Hey, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to another Secrets and Lies After Show. Tonight we're going to talk about Season 1, Episode 6, The Confession. But before we jump into that, make sure you guys are subscribed to us on YouTube, youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV. You can catch all the weekly podcasts on iTunes, SoundCloud as well. So rate, comment, subscribe, you name it. I'm Lauren Salon, your host for this evening, and I am joined by Sterling Cates, Chelsea Briche, and April Whisenhant.
Hi.
Ladies, how's it going, and where can everyone find you on Twitter?
Hey guys, you can find me on Twitter at Sterling Cates, and you can also be tweeting us live. We've got our phones
Look,
here.
we got all of this.
Yeah.
We got
all the technology.
All the gadgets.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm happy we're all here.
Me too. Yeah,
You
it's
can
been a
find me
while.
on Twitter at Briche, CBRICHE.
Hey, and y'all can find me on Twitter at April Whisenhant.
And you can find me on Twitter at Lauren Salon. Should be right down here for all of us. All right, let's dive into this week's episode. Super
Sure.
intense. Before we get to like the big meat of the episode, there were a few leading moments. We start off with the car incident, which is where we left off last week, with Ben getting locked in his car, the lights in the garage going off, all that creepy stuff. And that's where this week started off. You know, the cops are there, it's all kind of getting dealt with, and Cornell is finally seeming to be on Ben's side, you know, saying somebody is clearly after you, you need to take this seriously, and Ben doesn't really seem to be getting that.
Yeah, to me, I feel like he would want that help or that security, especially if he is innocent, because maybe, you know, he should want a security detail so that they can see that he's not up to anything sketchy. But obviously, if he is up to something sketchy, then he wouldn't want them to be there. So it makes it a little more suspicious to me.
Right. It seemed a little strange for him to reject Cornell's offer for security. You know,
I
he's like,
think
you're
he's
just
having like trust issues. You know what I mean?
completely.
Like he probably wants someone to protect, but now he's trying to balance like juggling the thought that like someone's after him, which means someone's after his family, and then he has to make sure his family's safe, and who does he trust? You know, like Cornell is on this emotional roller coaster, so super sketchy, but I think he just, in the moment, you know, he's like trying to process what just happened and doesn't know, like, you know, if he wants someone at his house 24/7.
Yeah. I think he's jaded by the system at this point because obviously he sees that they're more against him than they are helping him, and so he kind of thinks that, oh, Cornell, you know, maybe she wants to protect me, but she's also doing this to just follow me and see my every single move. Now, if he's, like you said, if he's not up to anything, why is that a problem? But I think he just thinks that they're doing it more to
start snooping
find out
more.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And shortly after that, you know, Ben, they suspect that it's somebody who has been involved in the government, you know, some sort of government background, maybe military. And so Ben, of course, thinks it's Kevin, his neighbor, who has been very suspicious of him the whole time, and almost unfairly suspicious, or, you know, rude toward him, I guess.
Yeah, we were like, what the hell, Kevin? Like, every episode, he's never supported him. We're just like, come on, Kevin. Like,
I don't know
jeez.
why.
But, yeah, so we know more now, obviously.
Yeah.
But we didn't really know anything about Kevin before this episode.
Yeah, and Ben goes to confront Kevin and Elaine, and he kind of is, you know, trying to be a little more easygoing with the process instead of just being like, you killed my son and you used my hammer or my
Flashlight to do it.
wrong tool. And so he goes to talk with Elaine and Kevin and kind of says, you know, what is your problem with me, essentially? And Kevin just kind of comes out and says, you know, you always only think about yourself, just like you're doing now. which is a big, like, hint of things to come.
It's just so weird that, I mean, I get if you think that your neighbor killed a child, why you would be very rude to him. Of course. But it's also weird that they're so into it more than, I mean, I guess we know a little more now, but to me it's like, mind your own business. Like, you're not a detective, you're not a police force, so like, why take it upon yourself to physically do stuff like breaking, doing all the stuff they did to his truck and snooping and plotting or putting cameras in his house and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's not his job whatsoever. So why?
There were two things I didn't like about when Ben initially went over to Kevin and Elaine's house. The first one being when Elaine said that she didn't like that he was acting like the father of a murdered child. Yeah. Well, he is the father of a murdered child, whether or not he knew before. But also, I don't think he's necessarily acting like the father of a murdered child as much as he is acting like a suspect in a huge murder investigation.
Yeah,
like, he has every right to be as, paranoid as he is or suspicious as he is.
I think for whatever reason, like you were saying, the kind of whole neighborhood, I don't think anyone's really understanding that, like, he is the father, and even though it's a really hard situation, like, he can't help the fact that he didn't know that he was a biological father. You know what I mean? And this is a really large pill to swallow, and I think everyone has just been so quick to, like, obviously judge and jump down his throat, but I don't think anyone's really understanding, like, everything that's come together. He's found out that he had a kid, out of having an affair, so he's taking that in, and now he's the main suspect of murdering this kid. Right. And no one in the neighborhood is kind of like, dude, do you need a beer? Everyone's just like, you did it, or all these judgments.
And even if he wasn't the biological father, he still was very involved in Tom's life, with his girls babysitting him and playing with him and living across the street. He was a male role model figure for him. So it's not like, I agree. I think it's unfair for everyone to be like, it's not like you were his dad, don't care so much.
Right.
Well, how does everyone in the neighborhood know, like, how you're supposed to act when you find out your, like, a legitimate child has been murdered? Like, I don't get how they're like, oh, you're not acting the way, like, a typical person would in this situation. Like, what? I just don't understand that.
It's a very unique situation.
Yeah. And the other thing that I was going to say is when Kevin came out after that conversation he had with Elaine, and the first thing he said to Kevin was, he was like, I know it was you, like, you're doing this to me, blah, blah, blah. He's got to stop doing that. Like, if he has these suspicions about people, Ben has got to, like, be a little more under the radar than, just, like, all of a sudden attacking every single person.
Which he's been doing, but this time, if you notice, Kevin said right back, like,
oh yeah,
or, he was like, I know you did it, and then he's like, I know you did
and
too.
I know you did it.
Yeah. So he kind of admitted it.
So that was
right
the
then.
First time, I think, to be a clue of, like, oh wait, hold on,
bit
like,
of confirmation.
He's actually saying something when everyone else, was like, dude, you're a lunatic.
Right. Exactly. But
to be fair, he has kind of been a lunatic.
Hopefully in the future,
crazy, but
Ben kind of, gets a little bit more evidence before he runs around pointing fingers at everybody, because he keeps doing that, and it's making him
But even
look
Christy was
even
kind of
crazier.
like, definitely go talk to Kevin, but don't run over there banging on his door calling him a murderer.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
There's different ways to handle situations.
Of course, the one time he's right is the one time that he doesn't.
Right.
Oh,
He's
man.
like, did you? Yes.
Question mark?
Yeah.
So he ends up agreeing to the security detail after Cornell comes by the house and, kind of says again how this is really serious. Your family could be in danger. And I think he kind of takes that perspective, like, okay, well, if Christy and the girls could be threatened by this stalker, then yeah, it's a bigger deal than me thinking you're doing it to spy on me, essentially. Right. And right after that, he gets a text from himself, super creepy, of a photo of him sleeping with audio overlaid of him and Dave's conversation when they're talking about the flashlight. Very creepy, very weird. So they then, Ben has the police come in and do a sweep for bugs. They find the bugs, goes to Dave's house to kind of sit it out while the police are looking for stuff
with the murder weapon in tow.
Oh,
right. But why didn't he just get rid of it? I don't understand why we still have this stupid flashlight.
In a Christmas present. It's just
shouldn't have.
What if he picked up the wrong present and took it? Like,
he opens it up, it's some socks or something. a new flashlight
Yeah.
because one went missing. That would be some great irony.
I hope he gets rid of it soon.
Well, I mean, there's cops everywhere in the house. His family's everywhere. How did he, he's like, I'm going to go over to Dave's and just sneak this present out of under the tree.
Present?
How did nobody catch that?
He can't risk anyone opening it ahead of time.
Maybe he already had it in his bag because maybe if he planned, he knew that he would say yes to this or something.
Yeah, maybe he went ahead and packed.
I don't know if Ben Crawford's that smart, but
right? Oh, goodness. So at Dave's, they're talking hypothetically about, okay, well, if you had the murder weapon or the flashlight, where would you get rid of it? And Dave mentioned something about these woods in between their place and Christy's brothers, which makes me feel like coming up, Ben's gonna try and hide the flashlight there at some point.
That's a terrible place to hide the flashlight. First of all, you don't hide the evidence in a place where someone can find it. You throw it in the river or something like that, to where it's going to be carried away and no one can ultimately find it.
Not just in the middle of the woods.
Sticking with put it in a bucket of acid for a week. And then take whatever's left and throw it in the river.
But then Cornell's like, why did you buy a bucket of acid?
Yeah. Why'd you buy this acid? Exactly.
I saw that receipt.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're at Dave's, and of course Dave, sneaky little Dave, who doesn't like Christy, invites Jess to come by. Jess comes by.
Oh, wait, he invited her?
Didn't he mention that?
I think she just showed up.
She just showed up because she's assumed.
Jess wants him.
I know. Oh,
Let's just be honest. Real bad. Homegirl wants Ben.
I think she just showed up.
Okay. I thought there was some suggestion that Dave kind of mentioned it to her, but of course, he's like,
he could have.
Maybe he mentioned to her that he was going to be there. Remember, whenever they saw her on the street, he said he was going to Dave's for a while.
Right. Okay. So I was so proud of Ben for finally saying, no, this is a bad idea. You should probably leave. What are you doing here? Because every other time he goes over to her house or, she's crying and he consoles her, all these things that are not, you just need to have a little space with this situation.
But here's the thing. It's okay, on one hand, touche, Ben. I know that was probably, you had to put on your big boy pants and say no, but time out, you should say no, and you should have said no 5 years ago. Right? So
it's not like we're applauding him for finally turning her down. He's a married man, and
Right. But based on everything else he's done when they've interacted together, finally he is kind of, saying, this is not okay. What are you doing? What did you expect coming here? Because no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the smartest thing we've seen him do, honestly, because we see, in tonight's episode, we see the flashback and how it happened between them the first time or the only time, whatever. And it was through, they were like, oh, my wife and kids are out of town. She's like, oh, well, my husband's guys are always the most important thing to him. And so they're kind of bonding over that. And you can see it in her eyes when she gets to Dave's apartment. She has the bottle of wine.
Yeah.
She's like, I just wanted to make sure you're okay, as she bats her eyelashes.
And he's like, dude.
Yeah, no. And I'm
inappropriate.
I'm proud of him, but you're totally right.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really, he's not some great guy that we're he's still being a great guy, you know. But finally, after all these little moments of him.
And you could just tell she was really
caught off guard by that.
Yeah.
And so then he runs out to kind of console her, and
Dave kind of made him
suggest,
he was like, well, she doesn't have anyone, and then
which.
Dave, I think, was pushing that a little too hard.
That was kind of weird, right?
Dave was suspicious to me.
Can I say,
majorly?
What do we actually know about Dave? I get that he's funny, and I get that he's a good, comic relief here in this show. But honestly, what do we know about him? He's super sketchy to me.
If that was you, I wouldn't be like, go get him. He's lovely.
You want to encourage your friend to maybe do things that don't make him look a little bit more suspicious.
Right.
Well, I think he clearly hates Christy. He goes on a rant about her tonight. But
he really does.
It's still just that, I don't know, some of the stuff he was suggesting. To me, to suggest to your friend to throw a flashlight in the woods is dumb. And then to say, oh, go after this girl, even though you have a known stalker coming after you.
Or especially when people are clearly watching him, the last thing that he needs is, let's say, a picture, whatever, for people to know that yet again they were together, or they were together in a dark alley of Dave's house. That's never going to look good.
When Ben was suspicious of Christy cheating on him, didn't Dave defend Christy?
Yeah, he was like, Christy's not cheating on you.
she's not cheating on you. She loves you so much. So it seems weird now. This week he was very much like,
I don't know.
I didn't see her broom. Where is she? Who?
Right, like, where did that come
spoken of?
from that he just all of a sudden...
Yeah, being a little sour toward her.
That's a good point.
Well, even he knew specifically, he was like, yeah, it was like 4 or 5 years ago she became a different person. So how does like Dave even know that timeline? You know,
Who would remember
it's a very specific amount of years to say. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That
Like,
she
I don't
automatically
even remember last
switched.
week, let alone today, you know? Oh, 4 years ago.
It was like September of 2011 that
Something
she
like
like
that.
changed.
Yeah.
Shortly after the 4th of July block party.
Yeah. That I wasn't even at. It's weird, you know?
Right. So then we are brought to the huge moment of tonight's episode, which was Ben getting a gun pulled on him by Kevin. And all of us, while we're watching, everyone's like,
It's really embarrassing,
shocked,
but I got really
completely
scared.
shocked. Yeah.
We all did. Again, what the hell, Kevin? Come on.
Right.
That's my hashtag for this for this show.
I felt like this whole sequence with Kevin. Okay, we learn a bit more about Kevin this episode. That he has military
A lot more.
background. Well, a lot.
Everything about him, really.
Military background. Worked for the government. Like all this stuff that makes it seem like he's definitely the guy who's been doing the stalkery stuff, and that's all confirmed. But I just don't, based on what we've seen of him so far, which hasn't been a lot. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like it was too convenient or too forced for it to be Kevin, like doing all this torture stuff.
I wasn't really feeling like... I don't know. I don't know how I wanted it to go, but that was just so intense and like... That just throws into a whole nother storyline and emotions and like...
Yeah.
I don't know. It did feel a little forced, like, wait, time out, where is this coming from, you know?
Right.
Yeah, to me, it's still so early in this show in general to like know like exactly where we're going with this. Like, is it just a drama? Is it like a
we've only
torture
got-
show? I wasn't really sure.
We've only got a couple episodes left, though, and they haven't... I don't think they've confirmed if they're doing a second season, because the original show, the Australian version, was 6 episodes. That was it. And I know from articles I've read, there's been some talk of maybe they'll do more.
There has to be more.
The
You
US
have to
version.
be on, or I'm not gonna be able
You know,
to sleep
who
at
knows
night.
if it's going to all get wrapped up and resolved in the next couple episodes, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like there's no way that it can be, because just like you
Right?
said, all this stuff with Kevin tonight, it really does open up just
So many
more
more
of a
doors.
story that I'm like, my brain cannot handle this much information. But because it's like, oh, all this stuff with Elaine pops up, and then I get like how it's convenient for it to be him, but it was also kind of random to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I get you're this government guy, and of course, so that they're gonna take it this way and blah blah blah. But I don't know. It's
I mean, I feel like even if it had been a complete random stranger who was the stalker and then ended up kidnapping Ben, I felt like that would have been taking it too far. I think the whole kidnapping and taking him to some deserted warehouse and torturing him and stuff for the bulk of the episode, I felt like that was just too
Like, I didn't
Much.
see that
Far-fetched
for the
a little
show.
bit.
I mean, we could take a time out and talk about his body, though.
Yeah, that's fine. That was absolutely
We can
fine.
take a long
I
time
approved
out
of the
for that.
torture
Touche,
for that
you
reason
see.
only.
Right.
More torture, please.
Like, if we want to torture for the next 2 episodes, I'm totally fine with that. But, yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, Ryan.
I'm not sorry, Ryan.
Me either.
Yeah.
So, are there any other neighbors that we don't know about now? Because each week has been, a different household that he's, could kind of like attacked, putting blame on,
Just, like, going down
and
the
then
street.
and then just going down the street. But now I feel like we don't know anyone else.
I'm sure.
That,
I'm sure
well,
there is, and that.
But that,
don't know.
they've highlighted on the show at all.
I don't think
Because
so.
Kevin and Elaine were like the last people we didn't really know anything about.
Yeah.
I mean, they could definitely show new neighbors that we haven't seen.
Yeah, and we don't even know if Scott's eliminated completely. Like
Right.
we don't even.
See,
do you know
yeah,
who
I
it
feel like
is?
they need to bring back Scott and Nicole, the
Yeah.
sister, because they're each other's alibi, and they were doing something shady together. So of course they have.
Totally.
And it hasn't been
Who
addressed
knows what
since
else they
then.
could do? Right.
And also that voicemail hasn't been addressed. That's still in my head. I
yeah.
wonder what that voicemail was about. That's what I'm
What
saying.
he
The
was so
show can't
sorry
end in
about.
2 episodes. There's a lot of questions that I need answers to.
We need the answers to things, so you're gonna have to continue
There are
it.
only 2 more episodes?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Why did I not realize that?
But they could decide to do a second season.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's been decided yet, but
Hopefully
it could be,
so.
and then it could be a whole different show. Because Chelsea and I were talking last week about how we were reading an interview from KaDee Strickland, who said that they shot a number of different endings. So even the cast doesn't really know which ending they're going to choose. So it may not end up being the same ending that the Australian version of the show had. So it could be completely different, you know? So who knows how it will go. So back to Ben being tortured and the whole situation with Kevin. Some of the questions I was having while this whole thing was going on, and Kevin reveals that he knew, he started hating Ben after he caught them, essentially. Well, didn't catch them because he didn't say anything, but saw Ben and Jess getting it on at the 4th of July party. And my thoughts are, why didn't he just tell Christy or something, or confront him sooner? What was the whole point of this slow 6-year burn? Did he have some master plan, or is he just saving it all up?
I feel
he's
like
been
maybe
bugging his house for so long,
And if Tom didn't die,
unless that happened recently.
When was this going to come out?
Wait, has the house been bugged since then, or since this investigation?
You think? Since the beginning? Well, I don't know why it would have been. I guess.
I feel like the reason now he's all of a sudden so passionate about it is because when the news was released that Tom was his kid.
You think that's
and then Tom was dead. I feel like that's when Kevin started
snapped a little bit.
Snapped a little bit. Because not only was he sleeping with Jess, but then he had a son with her and was taking time away from Scott. Scott, he was trying to fill in the father spot. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's what he was trying to say when he was waterboarding.
He was definitely waterboarding, hitting him with a ball, everything.
Yeah, man, I've never seen that sort of torture, put in a ball, I guess putting rocks or something in socks.
Yeah.
I've seen that in movies and shows.
I haven't seen a lot of torture.
I'm not meaning in real life or anything. I meant in movies and stuff. But man, that seems like it would hurt really bad.
Not against those abs. Oh.
That's what I'm saying. He's got the abs of steel, so he's like, that was nothing.
Oh gosh.
I think Kevin, though, obviously he's been upset for years because he says, you slept with a soldier's wife while he was off protecting your freedom and blah, blah, blah. And so I don't think that there was a master plan to ruin Ben. I just think that once a child died, and then he thinks Ben did it for sure, obviously. So that's his way of punishing him, you did this, and then now he's dead because you wanted to cover it up, but it was your fault in the first place, kind of thing.
Yeah. Kevin also seems like he knows something that says that Ben definitely did it.
Right.
He's I know you did it. So
I think there's
there's got to be some information that he didn't say or that we haven't learned yet that Kevin knows for sure that Ben did it.
I just think he's so delusional at this point with it.
I don't know. I feel
because
like
he's so, him doing that to Ben is essentially him getting revenge on Elaine and whoever she had the affair with. So I think he's just so warped in there that he's I'm an investigator and I've done so many interrogations when I was in the military that he feels like he knows all the answers. I don't know if he knows anything else.
It's because they just want he's not going to be satisfied unless he gets a yes because he just knows it. He knows it. So I don't feel like he knows any more information. I just feel like he thinks so certainly in his mind that Ben did it.
Exactly.
That he's I'm not giving up because I've done this hundreds of times and then they've always done it or they've always admitted it or whatever.
Right. And I think if you're going to do something that extreme, take someone at gunpoint, beat them, and have them dig their own grave, that you're going to feel pretty certain that you're right.
Right.
I do have to say, though, just for a total twist of the show, for a second I really was thinking that Ben was going to be okay.
I thought maybe he'd do that to try and trick Kevin in a way or get, some ploy to
I'm glad he
throw
didn't
him off.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah. Me too.
Even if he did do it, I don't know.
Well, I hope that Cornell heard him say the thing at the end whenever the police finally show up. Whenever he says, "I'm not going. I'd rather you shoot me than admit that I killed my son when I didn't do it," or however he worded it. And I doubt she did hear him say that. But I mean, clearly, I feel like when someone's holding a gun to your mouth and you're "I'm not gonna say that I killed my son because I didn't." You didn't do it.
Yeah, you probably didn't do it. Yeah.
He also doesn't remember anything from that night.
I know.
But that's the weird part.
Yeah.
Somebody probably drugged him.
Yeah, I think he got drugged
I think
for
he got
sure.
drugged too. But there's something I just
Dave.
think whatever is going to come out of that, like that's so significant that he doesn't remember anything.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's interesting that the whole season so far, we've only seen things from Ben's perspective. But tonight, in the flashbacks, we saw stuff from Kevin's perspective. So when he's seeing Jess and Ben through the window. So I wonder if maybe in the next couple episodes, we'll see
That's true.
maybe other flashbacks from other people's perspectives, or even
so.
kind of the current time from other people's point of views.
I'd like that.
I think that'd be
too.
interesting. 'Cause that definitely opened things up a bit. You know, while we're watching him get tortured, I'm like, where are the police? What are they doing? What is Dave doing? Has he called the cops yet? What's going on?
That's
you know?
another thing. Like Dave, I mean, I guess maybe he did like go out and wonder where he was, but
Right.
I don't know.
He just sends him out into the dark alley and then doesn't hear from him again.
But,
Like, oh, that's cool.
Who knows if he
Called
Ben
or-
went
yeah.
missing, and then he
Yeah.
called Cornell and said he hasn't come back or what. But let's actually
Cornell.
talk about the whole getting the gun pulled on him. I know it's TV, but I can't anytime someone is in a public place or something like that, gets a gun pulled on them, and they get in the car. You always know that whatever they want to do to you is going to be so much worse if you get in that car and go with them. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know what I would do.
Well, Dave's on the other side of that door. If you even make a noise, he should hear you,
Like, why
right?
not scream?
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe 'cause of
duck
their
real
head
fast.
off.
Maybe he'll get thrown off and shoot in the air. I don't know, but don't make it that easy.
Well, I feel like
think.
Kevin wanted some sort of confession or whatever, so he wouldn't just shoot him.
Yeah,
without
right?
anything. Without
Exactly.
That. So yeah,
Why
you're
are you
right.
saying
You're
like
right,
you're gonna
Lauren.
shoot him?
I'm right there with you.
If I get held up at gunpoint one day, I'm fighting.
I'm not getting that car.
Get in that car.
Lauren told me not to, so I'm gonna remember that.
Well, Ben's not a very smart person, so just like you said, I mean,
so dumb.
When he hit Kevin in the head with the rock, and then he runs upstairs.
like, where are you gonna go?
Back
How can you
into
get
the
away?
building.
Doesn't grab the gun off the ground.
How did Kevin get up there that
Only
fast?
gets
He's
the
old.
cell phone, runs back into the warehouse that he doesn't know. Kevin knows this warehouse. Clearly, he's planned this whole thing.
Just
Ben
looking
doesn't
for
know his way
signals.
around. Runs up looking for a signal.
Goes up because that's the way out. Apparently.
No, find that road and haul
I
ass.
guess he was looking for service. I get that.
right.
Yeah.
But you don't go up there unless you know that Kevin is not getting up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Or
and
if
we
you
know-
have the gun, then you go.
And we know he's a good runner, so I don't get he could definitely
Obviously, he
outrun
does.
Kevin.
He runs every freaking day. And
He's
of
good
course,
at running through the woods. Like, oh, God, he doesn't do that.
It's just kind of jogging.
Tonight he doesn't go for a run. Every other episode he's gone for a run. Not tonight when he should have.
That's really true.
Yeah, but then what are you gonna do if he actually got through and then he's like, all right, cool, see you in 5 minutes,
Right?
Yeah, like just hang
do
up at the top of
anything.
this
right?
tower.
And then wait up there.
And then the next scene is just him digging the grave again.
Dang it, it didn't work. Oh man.
That was entertaining.
Yeah, so yes, back at digging, and he's kind of throwing Kevin off his game, standing up to him a bit more, and thankfully Cornell shows up.
Yeah.
And
The only time you want her to.
right,
She's there.
finally she's there for good. And I really think this episode though tonight she was kind of on his side and out to protect him. But then I think we see with what's going to happen next week, it's all kind of setting up for her to
Yeah.
be the bad guy now.
Well, she's always kind of been the bad guy a little
which
bit.
I don't
Right.
think will be too surprising. And we''s always been saying that she has secrets.
she's sketchy,
There's-
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like something in her past, or the situation hits too close to home, or whatever. So.
This episode, she was very, trying to play the good cop card. She was like, protect and serve, Ben. And then she just was, only,
Right.
thinking about protecting, really. And more so than any other week. I feel like she's been more
So
sketchy.
that's
other
almost
weeks.
sketchy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know?
I mean, it is her job. I don't know.
Well, it is her job to protect
Right.
and serve, but
she hasn't
she
been
does it in a
doing
very
it good,
sketchy
yeah.
way. Can't help it.
Yeah. I don't know. Every time she does things that side with Ben or for Ben's good, I always feel like, yes, finally, okay, she's on the same team. We're good. It's gonna work out. And then something weird happens, or Ben totally doesn't trust her. And
I mean, rightfully so. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that Ben is so smart and has this figured out by any means, but I wouldn't trust Cornell either.
No.
Yeah.
She's been coming at him from all different angles, and every time he says something, she's like, and how do you know that, Ben? So it's like, Because you told me.
Well, she did figure out who did the vandalizing on the car and the fence.
Nat's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Nice detective work. You catch a 12-year-old. However old
Yeah,
he is.
should have done that.
His tracks.
Should have done that weeks ago. And she was like, "It could be from this paint right here."
You're a painter. You use paint.
Right.
Yeah, so
Like, you're right, Cornell. I
she
did this to
some-
my car.
She did something good.
Yeah,
but
That's true. Figured that out.
But why do you think Kevin, now that we know it's him, texted her to come over from Ben's phone? Because I feel like it just kind of showed her that it wasn't Ben who's been doing all of it. You know
Just
what I
to
mean?
see him being suspicious, I think, like, so what is this? And how did this get here? So I think he just, like, wanted her to be more in it and to see him kind of, like, acting weird and, like, I don't know where this came from because he clearly doesn't have an explanation for it.
And I think he likes pulling the strings and kind of having people under his control in that way and kind of, and, you know, doing these mind games and stuff. So I wonder why he did all, like, the, you know, the flashlight thing.
Well, because he knew that was the murder weapon after that conversation with Dave, so I guess to scare.
Yeah, but it seemed, again, I still don't totally buy the whole
Kevin thing.
torture.
I think it's weird too, but it's just one of those mind games. It's like playing the crazy music that he was doing at first. It's just to mess with him and to throw him off his game because he thinks he killed Tom. And
Ben didn't really seem as affected as I thought he would about being stalked. Like, even after the whole car thing, when Cornell was like, you have a stalker, he was like, you mean other than you? Like, why are we, like, still doing this, like, back and forth with Cornell when you almost just died? Like, I don't get, he doesn't seem as, like, concerned about it.
because if someone did that to my car, I would be freaking.
My God, you
He
had
seemed
to
like-
put me like in an insane asylum.
Yeah.
He seemed relatively calm to me. Like, even after the whole flashlight and blood on the sidewalk thing, he was just like, oh, what is this?
Right, and we,
We didn't even know.
It might,
they never
It was
told
paint.
us.
What
It
if-
was paint?
No, I don't know.
No, yeah, they
I
never
thought it
told
was
us
fake.
whose blood
Yeah, I
that
think it was
was, or
just
if it was
fake
blood.
blood.
I think I thought it was like ketchup to like.
I hope it's not.
Maybe they're waiting on the results from the lab. I don't know. Anyway, the episode kind of closes with Arthur Fenton, who's the reporter, sending Ben an email that says like breaking news ? And we saw earlier in the episode that he tried to call Ben and Ben ignored the call. So he's trying to get his attention, trying to get in touch with him, and Ben opens this email and it's an article about his family, Ben's family, saying, the family, what are they hiding? And, of course, Ben flips out and we're like, oh, dear, here goes Ben. He's going to go to someone else's house and accuse them of something or punch them in the face like he did to Arthur. And that quickly boils over, becomes okay because Arthur's like, wait, look at all these articles about Cornell. I'm trying
So
to
scary.
expose her. You've got to help me sort of thing, which sets us up for next week.
Yeah. First of all, it makes me nervous how impulsive Ben is. And we talked about this before, but even just getting through the door and then automatically punching him. And then getting up to someone and saying, I know you did it. Like, he's just very
He's too
impulsive. And it's
too
scary
impulsive.
because there is a
under
murdered
a
child.
magnifying glass, yeah.
And he is a suspect.
But he's so, I kind of get him being impulsive because he needs to have any other, or like some other reason for someone to look at someone other than him. And so it's like if he gets any sort of bait, then he's going to go after it. I mean, I think it's definitely not good that he's doing it. But
I mean, he
kinda
should
get
take
it.
a breath before he swallows
Yeah.
that bait.
He always needs
'Cause
to-
he is just like chomping at the first bit. And like,
And he even told Abby that she should never punch anyone or be violent back. Meanwhile, he's
There are
just going around, just punching
Accusing
everybody.
people, punching people, you name it.
Yeah.
He's got to take a deep breath, decide what he's going to do in a logical, normal way, as normal as you can. So I think that kind of covers this week's episode. How about some predictions for next week?
God, for 2 weeks. We have a whole
For a couple weeks,
a
I
couple
guess.
weeks.
no, we're just off next week.
I'll miss you guys.
Oh, right. We are
just
off next week for Easter,
Easter.
so we've got a couple after that.
So April 12th.
April
Yes.
12th, we'll be
We're
back.
back.
I am going with some Dave weirdness. I don't know. There's just something about him that I think he might be a feature of an episode if he didn't do it, but there's just something weird going on about him. I definitely think that Ben got drugged that night because there's just, I mean, maybe he was absolutely crazy blackout, but no. I don't buy that either. I think he got drugged. And
Same.
I don't know, something is just weird about Dave. I mean, something's kind of weird about everyone at this point. But I also think that he's like feeding him too much kind of stuff. Like he's feeding him negative things. And like there has to be a reason why he's doing all of that.
Right.
I don't know though. We'll see.
Because I just don't know. Like I sit here every week and like I just don't know.
I know. So many secrets and so many lies all the time.
And I just want to like be a detective and be like, all right, guys. But I mean, I just have no idea. So that's my prediction is I have no idea, and so that's gonna be right.
That's gonna be right. Either way.
Either way, I'm right.
I'm betting on whatever happens. For me, they're going into the direction of Cornell, like looking into Cornell, but I don't think like she would have been the person to kill Tom. Like that doesn't really make any sense. So I don't know what. I don't know. That just doesn't make sense. So I'm taking that off the table. But I think there probably is something like suspicious about her or her past or whatever. But I just don't know like what, unless she's connected to Tom in some way, like how she would have been the person that killed her.
I don't know why they're going there. Like we saw in last week's episode that woman like yelling like, "You ruined my husband," or whatever she said to him. So why is she doing that?
I agree about Dave because he is now, after this week, one of the only characters we don't know much about. As far as his background, we know he's just like a funny low life sort of.
Right.
The other thing that we don't really know much about is all the teenagers like hanging out drinking in the woods.
Right.
And we was found in the woods. And the blue jacket. And the blue jacket. I don't know.
My big one for next week, since it's focusing on Cornell, and I've had this feeling for a while, I think she had a child who was kidnapped and killed somehow, or something really bad.
And so that's why she's so passionate.
And that's why she's so passionate and so intense about it. So that's what I think. To close
there
us.
we go.
Yeah, thanks everybody out there for tuning in and watching along. Hope you guys enjoyed the after show. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV. Tweet us throughout the week. We want to hear what you guys think about the episode and who you think did it. Come on, everybody, right?
Who done it?
All right. Once again, ladies, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sterling Cates.
And I'm at Chelsea Briche.
You can find me at April Whisenhant.
And me at Lauren Salon on all the social medias. All right. Thanks, guys. Tune in next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.